session 1 of what I'm calling Sunday School Stories. I'm going to look back at some of the stories which probably those who went to Sunday school will have heard, but probably looking at them in a different way. Let's start with a real children's favourite, Noah and the Ark. Stories found in Genesis chapters 6 and 7, or 6 right through to 9. Many might question, did God really destroy the earth with a flood? Did he wipe out every living creature, except for those on the ark? One thing's for sure, there was a huge flood in the area of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. There's archaeological evidence of a big flood. There's also a flood story in the ancient texts of that area. The Sumerian civilization has a big flood story. So this flood story is perhaps different from the one that's in the Bible. It has quite significant differences, but also has quite some similarities. Even the Bible story itself has some inconsistencies. If we read chapter 6, God tells Noah to take 2 of every kind of animal, and then in chapter 7 he's being told to take 7 of every kind. But the inconsistencies aren't what matter, it's the meaning behind the story which is important. We're introduced to Noah in these words, Genesis 6:9. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. Now we've already been told earlier in chapter 6 verse 5 that the Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was evil all the time. So for Noah to be seen as a righteous man walking faithfully with God, he must have stood out among the people of his time. Did God cause the flood? Did he deliberately wipe out what he created? Well, we don't really have the answer to that. What we do know is that he allowed the flood. He allowed it to happen, and he would have known the devastation it was going to cause. But because he was faithful to God, Noah was able to hear what God was saying, and God was warning him about what was going to happen. Noah believed God. Even before any evidence of what was going to happen, Noah believed him. And that belief would have been hard because he started to build an ark and people would have thought he was just plain stupid. Everyone was going about their normal daily lives until the rains came and the floods came. We read in Matthew chapter 24, Jesus was talking about the second coming, and he says this: "As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be among the coming of the Son of Man. For in the days before the flood, people were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, up to the time that Noah entered the ark. And they knew nothing about what would happen until the flood came and bore them all away." But you see, Noah was listening. Noah was listening to God. He was able to hear the warning. We also note that God gave Noah very detailed instructions on how to build the ark. And that must have been for Noah a real assurance that this wasn't just some crazy vague idea that he had in his own mind. Noah was saved because he listened and he obeyed. But it wasn't just Noah. His wife, his sons and their wives were all saved as well. Now we don't know whether his wife and his sons and their wives were faithful to God at all. It doesn't mention that. But the point is that God always thinks in families. Families are what matter to God. In our very individualistic society, it'd probably be good to remember that God thinks in terms of family. So probably the best thing that we can do for our families is to daily bring them before God in prayer.
Holy words long preserved for our walk in this world. They resound with God's own heart, or let the ancient words impart. Words of life, words of hope, give us strength, help us go. In this world where'er we roam, Ancient words ever true, changing me, changing you. We have come with open hearts, oh let the ancient words impart. Holy word of our faith, handed down to this age, came to us through sacrifice. Oh, heed the faithful words of Christ. Holy words long preserved,